Okay, so we left off, it looks like our data indicated that we had $80,000 of fixed costs, that we had a contribution margin of $200 per unit. I don't know, did I post the sales price and the variable cost? Did I tell you that? Oh, we are doing the fault disc. That's not that, is it? Sorry. Huh. Okay, I don't know that that one's saved for me, so you guys are just going to have to help me out here. Oh, is this them? Oh, yay. Okay, great. Great. So first we had the selling price $850, variable COGS, variable S&A, fixed overhead, fixed S&A. Y'all calculated contribution margin of $632 per unit. Then we calculated a 74.4% contribution margin percentage. We had break even, it looks like, of 14,399 discs, which translated to $122,312 of sales. And then I told you they actually had sold 18,000 units or discs. And then I wanted you to finish completing my little chart here, asking what was the margin of safety in discs? What was the margin of safety in discs? Anybody? I think it was 3,601 discs, right? Which is the difference between the actual and the discs. And I haven't calibrated this, so I might be having some trouble here. Yeah, it's not even going to let me. So 3,601, because break even was 14,399, and we're at 18,000, right? Oh, here we go. So in, I know what you want, baby. Oh, come on. So then in dollars, we're going to take the 3,601 and multiply it by the selling price, correct? Of 832. Is that right? The selling price was what? 850. Yeah, so 850 times 3601. So my margin of safety looks like it's 36,000. No, 30,608, right? So if you were to explain that to your chief sales officer, what would you tell her? This represents what? Okay? What does that, if you were to explain to somebody what this margin of safety represents, what would you tell them in layman's terms? Go ahead, Monica, what would you tell me that is? That's okay, let me just keep going. Jordan? That's the contribution margin. And the other thing is, I want you to be able to say it in a way that's understandable to the guy on the corner. Philip, what is it? Gretchen? Work with me, guys. I know it's Monday, but give me something here. It's what we've sold above and beyond our break even. In other words, how much can my sales fall before I'm in trouble? $30,608. Margin of safety, it's right in the title. What's the margin before I become unsafe, which is basically below break even? Yeah. How far? It's not actual profit because that's a revenue number. That's a sales revenue number, so it's not the same as profit. You should be able to do a really quick calculation based on this that tells me how much profit do I have at my margin of safety. How would you figure that out? So I've already covered fixed costs. Not variable costs. How much do you have left from each disc? Once you cover break even, it's all what? Profit. What's all profit? Your CM. That's it. Boom, you should be able to do that in about a microsecond. 3,601 discs times $6.32, 22,758 a profit. So Tirsa, what's my percentage? The margin of safety. If I were, first off, what's the number? And second off, how would you explain it? What are you calculating it as a percentage of what? No, this was just, I wanted you to calculate here my profit at the margin of safety. This is, okay, let's try again. Hannah, what is this $30,608? I mean, but tell me in layman's terms. Jess? It's the amount my sales can drop before I hit break even. Right? Actual sales. How many sales do I need to have to break even? 3,601 discs I can drop before I hit break even. How did I translate it to the dollar? I multiplied it by the selling price per unit. So the last question, Perry, is what percentage can my sales drop before I hit break even? How am I going to calculate that? Go ahead just a second, Perry.
Margin of safety dollars divided by the total budgeted sales.
Well, total actual sales. My sales are at 122,312. I can fall $30,608 before I hit break even. So 30,608 divided by 122,312. How far can my sales drop? 25%. Well, because you can't take dollars of debt. Oh, I'm sorry. What is our actual sales? I was taking this number.
Is it 18,000 times 850? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
It's 153.
Sorry, 18,000 times 8.5, 153 even.
Yes.
So I can fall 20% of that. Divided by 18,000 discs times 850 each. Sorry, I was picking this up as my actual sales number.
So, how I figured it, I got the same amount, but that I did numbers by numbers, not dollars, 36,148.
Same. Okay, I'm feeling like we need more reinforcement on margin of safety, but let's go to operating leverage. Sarah, can you tell me what it is?
It's
how sensitive is your what to your what? Your net income, how sensitive is your profit to your change in sales? How sensitive is your income? How sensitive is your income to a $1 change in sales? And that's all about your cost structure. You've got really high fixed costs. Once they're covered, you're going to have an extraordinary operating leverage, aren't you? You've got a very high-risk business. You've got a buttload of fixed costs to cover, but once you do that, every dollar of sales, because you don't have very many fixed costs or variable costs, is going to be profit. How sensitive is your net income to a dollar change in sales? So we just figured out my profit, 22,758, right? So see if you can find my operating leverage, and then we'll talk about what we think it means. Oh, I don't know, a couple decimal places. So to calculate it, what's the calculation? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter if you do it at the actual level, the break-even level, it's the same number over and over and over. The math's the same number over and over and over. I'm selling 18,000 desks. .4% of that is contribution margin, right? How much are my fixed costs again? Every multiplying, we're multiplying this by dollars, not percentage, my bad. How much is my CM for one desk? Thanks, sorry. Okay. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. $91,000 are my fixed. My operating leverage is 5 times for every $1 shift in sales. What happens to my bottom line? It's impacted by a magnitude of 5 times. And you can run this and prove it to yourself. I don't want to take time right now. Okay. I hope that you have this data down and that you can go back through it again. If you don't understand what we did right now, I can ask you to have it ready for this morning. Let me start into the practice problems, and then we'll talk about what you need to do for Wednesday to get ready for the one that's due. And then if we have time, we'll take a look at the extra credit. I'm almost guessing that's going to happen, Gretchen, outside of class time, because I really feel like we need to focus on this. 5-5, please, on page 2. 218. And basically what we're looking at here is the changes in variable costs, fixed cost, selling price, and volume, which is CVP analysis, and seeing, hey, what does that do to our profitability? Okay, so basically I'm off on the bottom of page 218 now. Data for Herman Corp is shown below. It shows me a per unit selling price, per unit variable expenses, per unit contribution margin, and they do the math for us, don't they, on the CM percentage. Fixed expenses are 30 grand a month, and right now we're selling 2,000 units a month. The marketing manager argues that a 5,000 increase in monthly advertising would increase monthly sales by 9 grand. Should we do that? Where do you start to make this analysis? Melanie, you want to tackle that one for me? Where do you start? We have current data, and then they're proposing making some changes. So what do you do? You have to compare what you're doing now to this potential change, precisely. So, what does my income look like right now with the current cost structure without changing the advertising budget? What? The current profit. Well, it's all about profit, isn't it? What's my current profit? Yeah, I think it's 24,000. You just run a little P&L, right? What are they proposing to do differently? What's going to change in the cost structure? And increase sales by 9 grand. Then what's going to make that happen? How are they doing that? Yeah, they're going to increase the advertising budget. What does that do, Melanie? Does that impact my fixed or my variable expenses? Really? Variable expense behaves how? Somebody define it. Same for what? Same per unit that changes in total based on volume, right? So that advertising budget of another 5 grand a month, what is that? It's fixed. It doesn't matter about volume, right? So your fixed expenses, you're going to have a higher break even, clearly, because you've got another 5,000 bucks that you need to cover, right? It's going to give me 9 grand in additional sales. Is that a good thing? Is that a desirable plan? Why? Your income goes down. That's not a very clever thing to do at all. Could you easily find out how much more you would have to sell to cover that 5 grand? Do that. Tell me. Tell me what dollar amount of sales you would need to generate in order to cover the anticipated advertising expense of 5,000 bucks. One quick division, you should be able to do that pretty quickly. What has to cover the fixed cost, you guys? What number? Contribution margin, that is it. You have to generate another $16,667 in sales. 5 grand divided by 0.3, the contribution margin percentage, I've already done it for you. If it only covers 9 grand, I didn't even need to run these out to see that it wasn't sufficient. This is like the super long way around. I would have just gone right on it, gone 5 grand divided by 0.3. I need $16,667 in sales times my contribution margin to cover that additional 5 grand. You don't really need to go through all this, do you? We could do this all day long, right? I'm thinking about hiring another sales manager for 14 grand a year. 14 grand a year, what am I going to get? 1,400 or 2,400 a month, let's say. What do I need to sell to cover her? Per month. What do I need to sell to cover her? 8 grand in sales. Do I think she can do that for me? Right? Now things get a little more convoluted when they say I'm going to pay her $2,400 plus another dime a unit, right? Because then what happens? My CM changes. When you start messing with variable costs, your contribution margin changes. But you could do that. What would happen if I offered her $2,400 a month and a dime per unit? Tell me what I'd have to sell. A dime doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, $2. $2. What am I saying? That it's gonna, my CM's gonna drop now, right, to 25. So as a percentage, 25 divided by 90 is 27.8. Okay, you guys are all looking at me like, did I do bad numbers? So my example was your old variable costs were 63. I'm paying her another $2 a pop, right? So what happens to my CM? It drops. So what happens to my CM percentage? It drops from 30 to 27.8. And I'm paying her $2,400 a month. In the situation I just gave you, she's got to produce $86.33 a month in additional sales to cover her $2 a unit and her fixed cost salary. Do you see how useful this is for decision making? Then back here it says, oh, they did do the incremental CM ratio, which I would have done definitely before I would have run out the 2. Oh, and then they basically just did what I gave you. They said, what if I'm using higher quality components? That's direct materials, which is clearly what, a variable or a fixed? Variable. Increased variable expenses does what to my CM? Drops it. So if I'm not mucking around with the selling price at all, the CM dollar value goes down, the CM percentage is going to go down too, meaning that you're going to have to do what? Sell more or less units to cover the exact same fixed cost? More. One more time. You could have to market it there, but that depends upon does your product have competitive advantage, are there complementary, or are there other substitute products that local consumers need, and Then you kind of get into the whole marketing machine stuff, don't you? Yes, ma'am. No, that is Wednesday. Okay, E5-6, tons of good luck. Don't forget your little sticky note, practice saying their name all the way over. E5-6 is computing break-even. Morrow Products distributes a single product, a woven basket whose selling price is $15 and whose variable is $12. Monthly fixed expenses is $4,200. They want us to use the equation method. That's just writing out the line, profit equals unit contribution margin times Q, meaning number of units minus fixed expenses. Plug in all the numbers, solve for Q, it tells us 1,400 baskets. That's the equation method. I don't really see any reason to do that with this. I mean, I get this, but this is just so intuitive. Or maybe it's not intuitive, maybe it's just more intuitive. So I've got my contribution margin ratio, 20%. So if I've got to cover my fixed costs, 4,200 divided by 0.2, what do I have to generate? Stop me if I'm going too fast. Are these always going to yield the same answer? Of course. And 14,000 times the, or 1,400, excuse me, times the $15 is the 21,000, right? You should be able to go back and forth between units and dollars very easily. And then they want us to do the same thing, formula to get units, and equation to get dollars. Or I guess other way around. Formula is equation. I don't know which is which. It's going to give you the same answers over and over and over. Really, you guys, what are we working from? Can somebody just give me the equations real quick for break even in dollars and in units? Joe, what's break even in dollars? Don't look at your notes. Do not look at your notes. You guys should be way past that at this point. What are you trying to cover in break even? What kind of cost? Yeah, of course, your fixed costs. So am I divided by contribution margin percentage or dollars? Percentage, very good. No way should you be looking at your notes for these basic calcs anymore. And that's one thing that's a little concerning, and I don't know how to help you guys other than you've kind of got to be accountable to yourself. When we're getting towards the end of a unit, you should be able to be doing your homework without your notes. Because if you're to the point where you're studying for the test and you've still got all your notes in front of you, you honestly don't know it. I mean, you know that you don't know it if you still need to look at your notes, right? Okay, Jess, what's break even in percentage? Or no, units, I'm sorry, number of units. You're like, I don't know, I've never seen that. Absolutely. Okay, Tirsa, what if I need to do this plus cover a target profit? How does the calculation change if I tell you, I need to do all this, but I also want to make $15,000? That's it. Good job. Same, same. I've just got to do all this stuff. Kind of. Hieroglyphics. Right? Same calculations, just got to add your target profit. Okay. Caleb, so then I'm going to break even. What happens when I'm trying to figure out my margins? Not so much how much I make to cover my profit, but you've got to ask me a question, don't you? Well, you know break even, but you've got to ask me something else. Huh? Yeah, what's going on actually? Okay, so Hannah, I've got my actual sales. I've got my break even. How do I figure out my margin of safety in dollars? What minus what? Don't I want to know how far? Yeah. How far can my sales fall before I get break even? $30,000. How do I convert that to number of units, Sarah? I mean, you don't have the data up here, but just theoretically, 30 grand's my margin of sales. How do I convert that to number of whatever these are, baskets?
Your margin of sales.
How do I convert that to units? Divide by what? Selling price for one unit. If I can go down 30 grand and they go for $6 a basket, that's 5,000 baskets. How do I figure out my margin of safety percentage? In other words, what percent of my actual sales can I drop before I'm in trouble? Jordan, how am I going to get there? Go ahead. Yeah. I can drop 30 grand and I'm currently selling 140. Therefore, I can drop, about whatever that is, 27, 28% before I'm in trouble. What's my comfort zone divided by what I'm currently doing? Oh my goodness gracious, this hour flies. Okay. I'm trying to obviously do constant reinforcement as we go. So I'm kind of flying through the exercises, but research tells us you need to hear things 5 to 7 times to understand it. To get a voter to vote, you've got to touch them 7 to 12 times. So it's just that reinforcement, boom, 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 boom. 5-8. Here we are. Oh, look, margin of safety. You guys should be able to teach this. I'm a distributor of a sun umbrella used at resort hotels. That sounds fun, actually. Data concerning the next month's budget appears below. I sell them for $30 a pop. There's $20 of variable COGS and variable S&A and what have you in them. So obviously each of them yields me how much in contribution margin? $10. What percentage is 10 of 30? 33%. So you don't even need to get your calculator out to tell me that. Fixed expenses are $7,500 a month, and I'm currently selling 1,000 units. Compute the margin of safety. Okay, who am I picking on? Perry, how can I start figuring out margin of safety? Yes, you do. We're on 8. What do you have to figure out before you can get margin of safety? You've got to get break even, right? You've got to get break even. We know what actual sales are. We can't figure out how much we can drop until we calculate break even. How do you get break even in dollars? What divided by what? Go ahead.
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Break even in sales. What is break even? You're trying to cover your whats? Just a second. What are you trying to cover?
I don't know. I need to sit and go through this because I'm always,
Well, what is break even? Is this all one big one? Right here. Fixed cost divided by CM percentage. We know, what are they, 7,500? And we didn't even need to pull a calculator on that one, did we? So what are my break even in dollars? That sounds about right. Like, which number am I on again? Did I just go flying through that? Oh, sorry. So again, they do this whole equation thing. I just do the division. You're going to get to the same thing. What they're wanting to know is what's your break even. Did you guys get 750 units? How many are they selling now? 1,000. How many units can you drop before you're in trouble? 250. How do you translate that to dollars? Multiply by selling price. How do you get that to a percentage? Divided by what? Your actual sales. How much can my sales fall? Divided by what I'm actually doing. That tells me, oh, what's my percentage of leeway? 25%. This should be starting to kind of gel. There's 100 ways to work this. Well, not really, but like 5. 5-11. This is basically, I mean, in no way, shape, or form are you ever going to have 5-11 in the workplace where someone's like, fill in the question mark. The point is, do you understand the math? Do you understand the formulas? And they're asking us here, hint, one way to find the missing amounts would be to prepare a contribution format income statement for each one, enter the known data, and then compute the missing items. Is that how you guys did it? You set up the actual CM statement and then solve for X? Because you can only, No? Okay, how did you do it?
I did it, I set it up just the way that they had it in the book. And then I tried to, this is my sales, so I was trying to do it the same way.
Yeah, really, that's really it. I mean, like on number 1, obviously sales minus variable expenses gives you CM. They tell you how many units are sold. You can go right to the $4, right? So this is basically a matter of backing in to whatever it is that you don't know. Did any of them appear unsolvable to you?
I was able to eventually figure it out, but I was just like, oh my god, like, why am I not getting this? But I was able to eventually get it.
Yeah, this would be a hard one really to take the time to go through, just in that it's really, each of you are probably going to approach it in a different way. But what's it asking you over and over if you know what?
You know, your sales, your variable expenses, your cost, contribution margin.
Yeah. And why is contribution margin so important? Tirsa, tell me why. I don't know anything about accounting. I'm your marketing manager, you're the bookkeeper. Why do I care about this weird thing called contribution margin? Why is it so important? we practice saying these things, the more that we know. Go ahead. What does it do? I sell sun umbrellas. The marketing manager is like, why do I care about contribution margin? What are you telling me? Well, it's all getting us to how do we determine how much profit, but can't we just run our old traditional P&L to get the profit? Why are we doing this, Joe? Why do we care about seeing our... You have to know how many units you can sell to cover your fixed costs. Bottom line, every business in the world needs to know that. I'm going to go and make recycled bamboo sunglasses. Great. And I'm going to put up a $300,000 plant to do that. Great. How many pairs of glasses do you need to sell? Right? You can't even have a conversation until you have a grasp on that number, because maybe the answer is, 900,000 pairs of sunglasses. And I'm trying to sell them on the Missoula Farmers Market. Well, that's maybe not a sustainable business. That's a hobby. And for somebody with real deep pockets, that's a trusted hobby. Okay, that's not going to be my business model. Okay, once I get break even, then I'm sitting there and planning my business. Do I know how many units I'm really going to sell? I'm sitting in my living room making a business plan. Do I know? No. What am I projecting based on? I've never done this before. I'm going into the bamboo recycled sunglass market for the first time. How do I know? I look maybe at other like-kind people, but then I've got competitors. What else? I look at my costs, but I'm really trying to project the number of units I can sell. I need some sort of demographic information. I think it's going to be a hot commodity in a hippie town like Missoula. People love reclaimed products here. Okay? But then when I do all the math, they're going to be going for $110. That's the same kind of person that's going to Sunglass Hut that's spending, $150, $200 on sunglasses, and they aren't in the recycled hippie market. That's a whole different kind of person. I've got a problem. Okay, do you see why we have to do this kind of stuff? So you're going to go ahead and take a look at 517, correct it yourself online, the solutions are posted. 5-20 is due for Wednesday, and this is basically just reinforcing over and over and over and over all the things we've talked about. I will tell you, I did not even do multi-product break-even, which is in your chapter. And you're technically supposed to be responsible for, but there's no way we can move on to that when you're still trying to get this under our belt, and we have to start on the next chapter on Wednesday. So honestly, only you can do this for yourself. You need to go home, maybe do some more homework. I don't know. All the solutions are posted. You have to go. Okay, just keep working. Be gentle on yourselves, but be aware of where you're at. Okay, have a wonderful Monday.